Well, hello people, Peter here down in the old man shed on what must be, possibly today must be the hottest day of the year so far, alright? But I think we're going to have a corker of a thunderstorm, going to break it all up in a minute here in London. But today has been even hotter. But I've been, like an idiot, I've been down here today making films, and the layout, you know, as I say, doesn't get affected by the heat, you know. If I'm standing up in the shed, I'll get hot, but the layout, the level that the layout's down is just fantastic. All right, so lovely warm day, but the layout runs. But why am I down here? And the very last video I've just done, and that was only 5 minutes ago. Sorry about that. One of the comments to the video was when Tony from Tony Northeastern saw the Flying Scotsman going around, and you know, with no gaps on the coaches, you know, to the tender, and he knows it's Hunt couplings, but he wants to know, well, what did I use? Okay, so I've made this video. I've gone through my coaching stock, showing you what I've fitted with the Hunt couplings to them, right? And then before you see that, I'm showing you the HO wagons, which I rescued from the loft the other week. Basically reminded me why am I so infatuated with wanting to get my stock as close as possible. And as you'll see, the reason being is that that's what I was used to making, you know, 28 to 30 odd years ago. With the Roco coaches, I was running trains which went round curves but also were absolutely together when on the straights. And then, as I say, then you start modelling British outline, and you end up with a flipping inch gap in between each wagon or each coach, you know. And then you got your large D couplings, you got your medium D couplings, you got your tension. Oh my God, you know. So where's the advancement gone? You know, we've gone backwards on the British outline, whereas the continental guys, they're still enjoying fantastic. They've even got automatic couplings now, haven't they? I see Roco produce a shunter that, using the f-stop numbers, using the function numbers under DCC control, you can couple or uncouple the coupling. You know, no, don't need to have anything on the track. The Roco, you know, oh, F3 uncouple. Anyway, so that's what this is about, guys. All right, so let's get straight into it, and I'll tag you on. You know, as I say, it's a whole load of videos. It's a long video, I'm sorry, but I'm showing you how it all comes together. So let's hope you like it. All right, and yeah, it's that hot. Never mind about tea. Bloody ice cold water, mate. Oh, cheers. Bye. Catch you at the end of the film. Okay guys, so what we got here, I've put the old HO wagons back on again, and then we'll follow on with that one with the British outline, right? But why I've put this on there, this is what this whole film is all around about, right? These are the coaches that I rescued from my loft that have been up there for 28, 30 odd years, yeah? They're Roco, and this is why when you look at that and you see this gap here, which if you open it out, it wants to shut again, right? That's the Roco's coast coupling system. So that's what I was used to when I played trains all those years ago. And then when I started the British layout a few years ago with tension lock couplings, and I was getting, you know, you see what you've got as regards your how you connect your coach to your coach, or even your wagon to your wagon, the gaps that you got. I thought, that can't be right. I don't remember that being like that when I was playing with the other train set. But of course this was HO, and this is the tech. You know, this is what you had back in the day, which is you know, we're still playing catch up with, really, aren't we? Well, I've caught up now, because as you will see, that using Hunt couplings, I'm able to achieve almost the same look again, but I've had to work at it, whereas Roco did it for you. So what you got when you bought a Roco coach, in the box was a piece of paper, as I showed you in the last videos, and on that piece of paper it had 3 part numbers for couplings. So you had your continental, straightforward continental HO coupling, then you had, if you wanted your British outline tension lock coupling, if you're mad and wanted to put that on, or there was the close coupling mechanism. And because you had a serial number, you knew, and because you had that piece of paper in the box, you knew that if you bought that part, it would fit that coach. All right, otherwise they wouldn't have bothered to put the information in the box. And so, well, there we are. Let's have a look. For 45p, 59p, I've still got some, still in their packs, unopened, the close coupling system, yeah? So, quite an ugly coupling, admittedly, but then you don't have that sticking out at the front or the back of your rake of coaches or wagons. You know, the idea is to have it, you make up a rake using them, so that you get this fit. So I'm going to run the train. I've got it connected to a Eurofemix via a tension lock coupling, believe it or not, because it's the only way I can couple these coaches to it. So at each end is a continental HO coupling, but joining the coaches is the close coupling system, and you'll see this lot going around just like you will see what I will do with the next lot of rolling stock. So to get the ball rolling, let's get an idea, see what HO close coupling is all about. Right, give the old, it's a class 37, so she would take a little while to get going. So she's going around third radius, the outside loop. I let her do that once the 37 gets up to speed. So these are 28-year-old coaches, okay? Now, I'll turn the camera down. As she comes around the corner, you can see they've opened up. But then when she comes along the straight, they not only close up, they literally are touching. There's a little spring that's actually pulling them close together. And yet the coupling mechanism allows them to open up when it goes round third radius. There we are, and then back to nothing. Right, so I'm going to put it on the inside because she's running around third radius. Let's put second radius. Change the points. Oh, sorry, not the camera. Right, she's going to come across the Hornby points. There she goes. No change of speed. No need to. Coming around on the second, across the points. No problem. So you can see why this is what's kicked me off about wanting to go the hunt coupling route, to try and get my coaches and wagons to be running around my layout, but as with close fitting as possible, because back in the day this is what I had, this is what I was used to. Right, now I'm going to try, and it's the Loco is the problem because it's not coupled up properly, because on the Loco it's got to be a tension lock coupling, and it's just about holding on to a continental coupling. So I don't know what's going to happen if I try pushing it. It might override, but we'll give it a go. Let's have a look. So I've not changed the points, so it would be a good test to see what these carriages would be like being pushed over points, bearing in mind no, it doesn't like it. This, yeah, stop. Right, well that was a failure, because as exactly what I said, the tension lock coupling rode over the HO coupling, and it derailed the Loco. But still going to show you. I'm just going to push the wagons and see what we get. Alright, so I'm pushing. That's going across a second radius. Yeah, a normal standard point. So if I had the proper Loco on the front of that, there we are, there would be no issues. So let's have a look underneath at the Loco to see what we got and why it works. Okay, so here we are, 30-year-old Roco coach of an independent Italian railway company. Okay, Absolutely bristling with detail. All these parts, if I remember, I had to fit on myself, including the the generators there that has to fit onto the side of the bogie. And where does the detail end? Well, I suppose you could sort of say, yeah, if that was a connecting corridor, you would have to bring that stepping plate down. Oh my gosh, the detail all this time. Okay, right, so this is your European coupling, all right, fitted in a tension lock, and all that just got to, this is where we are, and this is where the secret of its coupling is. You see, it does that. So when the bogie turns, yeah, it does that for you. I'm just distorting it, so that's why she's popping out. That would never happen on the track. So at that end, that's your normal coupling, and then at this end, this is the quite ugly looking, I'll give it that, close coupling mechanism. Okay, so as I said to you, if you got your part number in the piece of paper that came in this carriage, you know that you can take out the normal coupling from there, and for whatever it was, the princely sum of back in the day of 59p to get a complete set of couplings. Now, 2 packets there, I've never opened them, from BT's. You would change that, and that's how it works going round the corners. Okay, and that's the secret. When they're together, they're quite rigid. Don't know if I can do it loose. Can I do it loose? No, it's very hard. Oh, well, like that. But when they're together, then they form a nice rigid structure, a bit like what you're going to see with the magnetic couplings. All right, that's quite solid. Yeah, you can see that they move, but there's actually no movement within the actual coupling themselves. It's the mechanism on the bogies that allow it to move. There we are. But to disconnect, just slide it over. So yes, granted, you wouldn't want that sticking out at the end of your coach, at the end of a rake of coaches. That's horrible. So instead you would either remove it completely and have just the end of train lamps, or you could just stick with the continental one, which doesn't look too sad. Right, so this is what the following clips of all the English British outline, how I've got them to be as close coupled, but using close couplings as I was used to back in the day 28 years ago. All right, and which is why I can't understand why we're putting up with the an inch gap between coaches using the normal British outline tension lock couplings, when you know the HO guys, they're living, you know, they've got this sort of system. You know, how comes we've not got it? Anyway, let's have a look then. Alright, so now all the other clips, I'm going to be putting all my British rolling stock on, okay, and I'm using Hunt couplings. We'll see if we can achieve this look that we got on the old Continental. Okay, so there we are. See you in a minute. Right, okay people, so let's have a look at this one. So on the layout now we have a Bachmann Class 66 pulling 4 Mark II coaches. I think they're Mark IIs, yes. Fitted with Hunt couplings, and as you can see, they are very close. And then, so let's see how she's like running around a 3rd radius loop and a 2nd radius loop, and let's see how she behaves going over the points as well, standard Hornby points. Okay. So let's get on with it. So just going to start her off. I'm not going to edit the video. I'm going to get it up to speed step 20. Alright, so the coaches are close together, as close as they can be, and yet they go round a 3rd radius curve, no problem. Okay, so that's speed step 20. Put the controller back. I'm now going to reach over and change the point. Going across Hornby standard points at speed step 20. Now on the second radius curve. Coming back over the points, not changed the speed, not done anything. So is that not a better look for a coach corridor than having an inch gap in between each? Why are you happy to have an inch gap between each coach when you can have it looking like that? I'll put it back. So we're now back on the third radius and just one loop. Well, what do you think? Alright, so I've not done anything to it. I'll stop it now when she comes around the front. Now we will look at see what I've used on these coaches. There you are, nicely as close as it can be on the straight, and yet she gets round a second and third radius curve and also across Hornby standard points. Okay, right, so what I've done here, these are the three sizes, yes, for the Hunt couplings. Now these are the early Hunt couplings, so these ones are the pole specific. You've got to make sure that you put an A against a B because of the polarity of the magnet. The new ones now, they've done away with that now, they made it a lot simpler, and there, if you want to see my coupling box, guys, there, well, there you are, there's the box for the couplings, and as you can see now, in amongst them now is the Elite range, and that's the ones that literally doesn't matter which way round, they will still attach. So because I was an earlier adopter of Hunt couplings, you know, I've ended up with quite a few of the old standard ones, but that's fine because obviously once I'm fitted, once I've got the sizes correct, there's no reason in the world for me to change them. So ultra close, close, standard. What was the Mark II fitted with? And it is a close, all right, not ultra close, not standard. So that was both ends. And because it's the type of NEM pocket attachment, you've got that little bit of pivot, as well as a huge amount of play that's in the Hornby carriage. Okay, this is the problem with the Hornby. There's so much play there. The wagon itself is very light, gave a lot of issues, but still. So yeah. Alright, so you got, as well as the fact that the coupling moves with the bogie, there's also that little bit more give because it's on that style of coupling. So coach to coach, close coupled. Coach to the Loco, he says, knocking the camera, standard. Okay, because that just gives room between the coaches, because the way when the coach was going, because the way the Loco was going around the curve. So there's no danger at all of any buffer lock, and you know, you're not talking about needing to be a corridor connecting to a corridor when it's at the back of a Loco. To give it a bit more play, a standard. Alright, so this end where it goes coach to coach is, hold up, let's get it round the right way. There we are, okay, and that's our close. But you can see, whereas the magnets don't move, the bogey's heck of a lot of movement. But look at that gap, okay? That's not bad. When it opens out, it can open up like that. When it pushes, it will actually touch. But that's not the magnets moving, that's the bogies, because there's so much play in them. Right, the other end, when I put the standard, also, with that sort of coupling, when you can take this NEM pocket out, I've cut the shoulder of the NEM pocket off. Okay, you know it's got, let's have a look what one looks like. He says trying to find one. There we are. You see these two little shoulders either side of it sticking out? If you cut them off, you end up with that much more movement. You see, because you cut that thing off. So if you're getting derailing and you think to yourself, it just needs that little bit more, because as it goes around the corner it's just that little bit more. So at that end, which is standard, if I hold it, there's just that. Alright, because then those little shoulders are coming into play. Okay, that end where I cut those shoulders off, you get that. Alright, it's not going to break because it's still attached the way they are attached. Okay, it's got a little web in the middle, so it's not going to break off because that web there is still, you know, it's still there. Okay, right. So that's the Mark II network rail and the 3 sizes of coupling that I use. Okay. Right, okay, next test we have Mark I's. Again, Hornby. The engineering coaches. 2 different sizes of coaches, but that shouldn't really matter. The couplings, as you can see, again, they're as close as they can be. And we'll see how this one performs going around. And then we'll look and see what couplings I used on this. So up to 20 again, not messing around. Let it go round the outside loop first, and then I'll change the points. So off she goes. So this is the thing, guys. You get a nice close look to the coaches when they're on the straight, but they can go round curves. That's the whole point of this exercise, yeah? I'm showing you what happens. Right, so no problem going around on the radius 3, going around the loop. Now I'm going to change the point. So now she's going to cross into the second radius curves and across standard Hornby points. I've not changed the speed, she's going around the speed step 20. Alright, you're watching it as it happens. Lots of clunky noises as it goes through the points, but all the back-to-back settings are correct on both the coaches and the locos, and it gets on very well with my Hornby set track. Right, I'll change the points back again. So I'm having it coming round on the third radius to finish, but as you can see there's absolutely no reason why there's no problem going around the second radius either, because for half the circuit she's gone onto a second radius curve in the corner, on that corner over there. That's the second radius she's gone onto, okay? And yet she's come round no problem whatsoever. Right, we'll stop her and we'll have a look and see what couplings I use on this one then. Bearing in mind I'm not changing the loco is the same on all of them, okay? I think I've used the close coupling on the loco. But as she comes round the front, you can see the gap between the 2 coaches themselves. Not really worried about, in actual fact it's very close between the loco as well on this particular one. And you'll see why. But there's the gap. If it's pushing, that gap stays almost constant, alright? Right, let's have a look and see what this one's like. Right, okay, so underneath the Mark I, we have a close couple, alright? Whereas on the other one, on the Mark IIs, I put a standard one. This one seems to get away with the fact it's close. And this is why you need a range of couplings, guys, alright? You've got to find out what works. In this one, we have a close couple this end, and I haven't even bothered to cut the wings off of this one because there was enough movement. If it needs to move, it doesn't. And possibly the reason why is because the bogie is just absolutely so sloppy. This is your standard, you know, it's not a railroad range, I don't think. Well, it may be, I can't remember now. They weren't cheap. And the blue is a shim, because out of the box the flanges of these wheels were rubbing on the chassis of the coach and causing a drag. So even though when you put them on the track, these two wheels, instead of being able to spin and whatever, they was doing that. You can see here there's hardly any movement, and even on the track when it should be all level, there was a tendency that sometimes the flange caught the chassis. Absolutely ridiculous, isn't it, really? But hey ho, that's what we're paying 30 odd pounds a coach for, yeah? Anyway, by the by, standard at that end. Standard at that end. Oh my god, what am I talking about? Close, sorry guys, close at that end. Close at that end. The second coach, at ultra close. Okay, and then obviously nothing at that end because it's the end of the, and it's got an end of train lamp fitted. All right, but as you can see again, I've had to shim the bogies on these particular coaches. So yes, so we have close on this side, ultra close on this side, and yet when they're together, you still get a big gap. Can you see the gap? And there's the old, that's how much movement, look at that. See? Pulls apart. So, can you imagine all this with tension lock couplers, how big a gap you get when you know, when the bogies themselves are also giving you a few mils of play, never alone on top of what the the tension lock coupler gives you when it's pulling. It's doing that. Now, another thing on this one, guys, I fitted the accessory knuckle joints, you know, that comes in the coach. They come into play when it's pushing. They actually touch and actually form a nice little pivot point for the coach to, if it's getting pushed, it actually copes with it quite well, because those knuckle couplings, which are the accessories that I've stuck on there, act as a little pivot point, you see, but not when it's pulling, only when it's pushing. You see, you've still got the gap between the corridor, but the actual knuckle joints are touching, and because they're in a curved shape, they make a nice little pivoting point. Okay, that's the Mark 1s. So let's get this right. Close, close, and on the other one, ultra close. All right. So you would have ended up with a very big gap if you fitted another close coupling instead, even a bigger gap. All right. So as I said before, that's why I've got a range of couplings of the three sizes, because you can, as you see there, I've mixed and matched. Yeah. Where this one is too big, if you use two of those against it, well, use one of those with one of these. You know, and it still works. So you can mix and match. You don't just have to go to the three sizes that are set sizes. You can mix around. Okay, so that's the Mark 1s. Cheers. Okay, now we're on the DRS latest Hornby coaches. Again, Mark 2, I believe. So same thing again. Let's see how these perform. So really, to be honest, they're going to be the same as the network rail, aren't they? But they're still the same coach. Give it the straight up to 20, no messing around. You can see how close they are. Coming round, just see how close they are together, guys. Nice gap between the loco and the coach, give it room, but doesn't, you know, the gap between the coach and the loco never seems so bad, does it? It's what you want is the fact you've got a coach which is a corridor tender coach which needs to be close together, and with your tension lock couplings they're not close together. Right, I'm going to change. When she comes around again, she go on to the second radius across the points. Change. There we go, there we are, no problems whatsoever. She's now on the second radius curve. Come back across the points. Quite a contortional shape, isn't it? It's quite horrible really, I don't like that. So that's why in most of my videos you don't see me showing you that. Because it's not a pretty sight really, to be honest, is it? Look at that, it's quite torturous. But it's working. Right, change it back. Now be on the outside loop. Going around speed step 20, I never adjusted the speeds whatsoever. But now I'll stop it and you can see how close the carriages are to each other. Oh, it's gone a bit too far, sorry about that. Maybe, he says, let's put it in reverse. So we're now in reverse. Let's see how she behaves. Bearing in mind that these coaches are so light, I don't like them. You know, you've got a chance for something to go wrong because they are light. Speed step 20 in reverse. Okay. But I'm not going to take it across the points because I can guarantee that she will derail, and that is down to the lightness of the coaches. The hunt couplings aren't, you know, giving any trouble. It's, you know, purely the weight. There's a little bit of extra weight in the last coach on this rake because it's got an end of train lamp and it needs to pick up from the wheels. So in order for the to do that successfully, it's got a little bit of the old balance weight, the car balance weight's been added. That's going around in reverse, guys, at speed step 20. Now, makes it interesting when that when Acura scale comes out with the Mark V coaches, what I'll be able to do with the Class 68 attached to it, because that's a push-pull train, isn't it? So that'll be interesting. Well, I'm just going to change direction and then finish up with that one. So he's coming round, and as you see, because she's pushing, there's virtually no gap at all. I don't think there is a gap between the coaches, but now you'll see it open out a little bit as it pulls. And that's all down to the play in the bogies, because it's such a sloppy attachment, you know. Certainly don't have to worry about any bearings wearing out, not with the way these coaches are manufactured. Right, see if I can stop it properly this time. So quite a nice gap between the Roco and the coach, but a better prototypical gap between the two coaches. Okay, let's have a look, see what I've used. I think you find it's the same. Yeah, so here we are. So it's what I thought. The Roco to the coach is fitted with a standard to give a little bit more room, and then coach to coach is close, and so therefore on the other one it's close. And there, once again, let's get them together. There we are, and you can see the amount of movement that's on the oh my god, it's so sloppy. So there we are, so there's the gap. So when it's pushing, it actually closes and touches and doesn't derail. Well, let's put it that way. But when she's pulling, you got that. All right, you got that much. See, that's what you get. So pushing, it disappears. When it pulls, you get a little bit of a gap. But certainly better than something that's out there, which is what you'll get with your tension lock couplings. Yuck. All right. So there we are. So let's get that. There we are. There we are. All right. Yeah. So close, standard, and yeah, close at that end as well to attach to the other coach. All right. So these are almost, you know, these were released a few months ago now, weren't they? But yeah, whenever you look at the coupling mechanism, not so sloppy, I guess, a little bit better than the last ones, but still very loose. And I said on the other one with the end of train lamp, I've had to take it apart. Oh, in actual fact, picking this one up, it feels heavy. So I've actually put the old what they call it, you know, the weights, the car balance weights that you can get from Roads and Rails or from eBay. So there's obviously been a few extra grams. I've taken the coach apart and put a few extra grams, not because of the derailing of the coaches against each other, more with the stupid coupling mechanisms that you find attached to some Hornby and the Class 68 locos, you know, where they've got that mechanism. It's horrible. That's why I'm using the Bachmann 66, because that coupling is fixed to the bogie, whereas the other ones, the Class 60 Hornby, the Class 67 Hornby, and the Hatton's 66s, they use that. Well, let's bring one down. Let's have a look. Hold on. Okay, so here we are. So the Hornby down low, nice Class 60. It can also be the 67 Hornby, and also the Dapol Class 68 and the Hatton 66s, where they use this sort of mechanism where it pulls out on the spring. Yeah, all great. But what was happening, the reason why I had to put weight in the coach is because if it's getting pulled by one such as loco like this one, this would pull the coach off because of this stupid mechanism. Yeah, it would go round and it would be stuck out like that. Because it's got weight on it, instead of going back to the centre, it stays like that, and then that ends up literally pulling the coach off. Alright, it's horrible. I don't hate it. But you know, got to live with it. Alright, but this is what gives you the trouble. Whereas the Bachmanns, my Class 37 Bachmanns, my Class 90 Bachmann, and my Class 66 Bachmanns, they, you know, the coupling moves with the bogie. But there we are. Not much you can do about that. Okay, that's it. Now, let's have a look at the Flying Scotsman. Right, okay, so we've got the star of the show now. So Flying Scotsman, Hornby, TTS decoder fitted, but I'm not going to put the sound on. And 4 Bachmann coaches. Okay, I think again Mark 1, I think they are. Alright, so I'm going to set this off because it's a TTS decoder for decent speed. This one is going to be 15, and it takes a little while to get going without sound. So that's set on 15. There we go. You can see how close the coaches are when it comes round the straight, and also the tender is quite close to the next coach, which is what it should be, being a corridor style tender, and yet she's going round a 3rd radius curve. Now I'm going to confess here, guys, I'm not going to put this on the 2nd radius, and I'm not going to make it go across the points or go backwards, and that's all down to the loco, I'm afraid. Flying Scotsman, even though she's a Hornby model running on the Hornby track, I think A3s, oh my god, you know, the fact that they stay on the track in the first place is a miracle. So in my, you know, with my layout, this is how I'll be using it anyway, so this works for me. I've got my close coupled coaches, close coupled to the loco, goes round reliably in one direction. I've got no points or sidings or anything like that I have to run it into to park it. With my layout, everything's got to be picked off. That's why I love the Hunt couplings. But But isn't that better than having tension lock couplings? That look, don't think you can get better than that. That's how a train should look. And yet she goes round my curves. So yeah, perfect in my world. Yes, it won't go backwards maybe. I might try just pushing the disconnecting the loco and pushing the coaches over a second radius to see what it's like and see if that would work. So I'll stop her. Slowly round. So there's, as she comes round the curves, the carriages are open, but now she's coming into view, she's on the straight, and everything closes up perfectly. Can't get better. You can't get better than that, guys. I'm sorry, but there you are. Right, I'm going to disconnect the loco and I'm going to push the coaches back across the points and see what we get. Right, so maybe if you had a better loco than an A3, and I don't know what you would use, but if it was just the coaches on their own, I'm just going to push them by hand across the set of points. Let's see what we get. So I'm just giving it a good push. Alright, and yet when they're on the straight, there's no gap. So my derailment issues is literally down to the Flying Scotsman. In actual fact, I'm going to get the Scotsman because it's got the same coupling, should be the same coupling on the end, and I'm going to put these on with the class 66. Hold fire. Okay, so we put the Bachmann 66 on the front now. So we'll run these coaches around and then we'll get these going across the points and we'll see what we get. So off they go. So look, no gap. No gap. Almost as good as it gets. Round the circuit of the outside, I'll change the point. So now she's going to go across the points onto the second radius. Here she comes. Second radius. So close coupled coaches, no problem at all. What can I say? Get it back running round the main loop, and now we'll see, but without it going across the tortuous points, because I think you're always asking for trouble pushing something across a point as opposed to something pulling. But nevertheless, what is she like in reverse anyway, on a nice loop with just the normal curves? Let's have a look. So she's set to go back. Here she comes. So now we're going to go backwards. Alright. You're seeing it as it happens. I'll stop it. And then we'll have a look and see these Bachmann coaches, because these being Bachmann coaches, I think you can guess they're slightly a different quality to say the least to what I'm using as with the Hornby. And There she comes. It's alright, so no trouble coming around the curves, and yet when she's on the straight, absolutely no gap. Fantastic. Brilliant. Let's have a look and see what the secret is then, yeah? Right, okay guys, so on the back of the Scotsman, on the tender itself, we have a close coupling. Alright, and because it, once again, it is in that NEM pocket carrier that can come off, I've cut off the little wings to, if necessarily, allow a little bit more movement. Okay, so close coupled, and that way then we do get the nice close fit between the bellows and the next coach that is supposed to be connected to. All right, so that's it, nothing else to report with the Scotsman. But because of these things, yeah, you know, the little, well, I don't know what you call this, but tends to derail. It's okay going forward. I have fitted the detail, admittedly, but they're not getting in the way, because that's how the Scotsman has their drain pipes. You know, they're not as, when they was long, yes, they definitely interfered with it going around the curves, but luckily in real life they are as short as they are here, so that's what I've done. So although they're fitted, they don't interfere with, is it called a pony truck? Anyway, well, whatever those two sets of wheels are called. All right. I'm not an expert. Right, let's have a look at the coaches. Right, okay, so this is the coach that connects to the Scotsman, and whereas on the back of the tender of the Scotsman was a close coupling, on this one is a standard coupling. Okay, so it's like I tell you guys, you have to mix and match to get your distances. Also, being that this is a Bachmann loco, you've got this arrangement. All right. So this is almost getting back to the Roco coaches that we had, that started this whole subject about coaches and how close they can be fitted. All right. So standard coupling on this one gives you a good close fit if it's next to a close coupling on the previous one, okay, which happened to be the Scotsman. At the other end, it's going to be a little bit weird, it might blow your brain a little bit guys, I'm sorry. I have a standard one, but on the one that goes next to that we have a close. Okay, and this is what I say, this is what you've got to do. And then at the other end there'll be a standard, because on that last one is a close. There we are. Look at that, how nice that is. And a little bit of movement, because those couplings are again on a mechanism that's got a spring, but when they go from side to side, that's why they get round the points, because they can move. You see, all the time it's not actually getting buffer lock. I mean, I can do it by hand obviously, but when it's on the track it doesn't get buffer locked because of all this mechanism. The magnets themselves will always stay parallel, you know, they won't bend like I'm bending it now. They always stick hard like that. All the movement comes from everything else on the coupling, okay? So effectively with the two magnets you've got a solid bar, you see. So there we are. That's the secret behind the Bachmann coaches. You have, in order to get the close fitting, it doesn't matter which one does what, so long as you have a standard up with a close. And that's how you get a perfect fit. Little bit of movement, I mean, I'm putting on that, you don't even get that. You see, that's what you'll get on the track because of the movement of the coupling. If it's pushing, it does that. But when it's pulling, that. Well, that's it guys. That's the secret of my coach couplings. Alright, and that's what I've used. So as I say, when you get your couplings, sorry, kick the camera again, when you get your couplings it's best to get a range, you know, don't just get the one size. And if you get the ones that are too small and then you find that you can't fit them at all because there's not enough gap, you start, you know, there's the three sizes: standard, close and ultra close. And that's, if they're any good, use them as they are, or use, as in this case, a mixture of the two. Alright people, right, and so there you have it guys. Okay, so that's the end of that. Just this to finish off the video, just a couple of locos running around, and as I was saying to you before, this is how sometimes I just like literally having a couple of locos running around. Alright, so it doesn't matter then about the length of trains you're running on a small layout. It's just great to manoeuvre the engines and things like that. So that's what this Torridon Road was all about. It was motive power, but it's grown into having freight, and then with the occasional coach. So that's the coaches done. If you would like to know what I've done with my freight coaches, wagons, then maybe I'll do one of that, showing you what's in use, what I've used on the freight wagons, because again they're as coupled as close as you can get without causing any issues going around these tracks. Okay, but bearing in mind guys, my setup is simple running. I don't try to be clever, and you know, yes, I've run it over points in this particular film just to show you that it works, but I don't ordinarily do that when I'm just playing trains. Alright, this is how I like to play trains, just having them coming around. With the locos, no problem, they can go across the points, I can have them coming out of sidings because they all work. Okay, but when you've got sort of 15 sort of cement wagons going backwards, and they are very lightweight, and there's absolutely no chance of putting extra weight onto them to make them behave if they go over points, you're on a hide into nothing. Alright, so maybe we'll talk about that if I do a video about freight. But myself, I've got a rule for Torridon Road. The outside loop on this third radius takes the larger locos, which are the class 66s, the class 60 and the class 70, and the locos running around an inner loop are the smaller locos, which are the 37s, the 68s, the 20s, you know, and so on and so on. Okay, simply because the sight radius, second radius curve, I don't want to see a large loco go round a second radius curve. So that's the rules of Torridon Road. Okay, big locos on the outside, the smaller locos run around on the inner side. Okay, and not doing any fancy, you've just literally got two loops. Okay, right, that I think is it. I've been down here, as I say, on now the hottest day of the year. Thanks Tony. No, I didn't have to do it as soon as this, did I really? But I thought I'll get it done. It just gave me something to do. I was quite pleased to do it. So that's what I've had to do. Right, okay everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned from something. And don't be afraid. They're terrific. I know some people said, oh, they've snapped theirs, put them into the NEM pocket. I know they can break because they are brittle, the hunt couplings. Just be a bit careful. If you're struggling to get a coupling into the NEM pocket, try another one, because they're not all, you know, although they should all be the same, they're not. You know, it's the beauties of 3D printing. There's slight discrepancies, I guess. And I've had that, and you know, rather than sort of break anything trying to force the thing in and it wasn't going, I picked up another coupling and that went in like a hot knife through butter. So, you know, and that other one that I couldn't fit in, that fitted somewhere else. Okay, so there we are. Right, thank you, and bye for now. Catch you all soon. Stay safe. Bye everybody. Bye bye.